If you're someone who's planning to give GMAT or GRE और समझ में नहीं आ रही कि कहाँ से प्रिपेयर करूँ, क्या करूँ, कैसे करना चाहिए, so we have Kopal with us who gave GRE and GMAT this year and she's going to share her experience, कैसा रहा, क्या रहा, कहाँ से उन्होंने प्रैक्टिस करी, कहाँ से कोचिंग ली, वो सब आपको इस वीडियो में देखने को मिलेगा. But before that, I would like to congratulate Indian Army for successfully completing Operation Sindoor. Kudos to you guys. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat. Let's start the video.
All right, everyone. So today we have Kopal with us. And Kopal, why don't you introduce yourself for the audience?
So hi everybody. My name is Kopal, and in the past year and a half, I myself have been through this whole GMAT and GRE journey, and I finally now decided. I converted, and I have now decided to join the firm. I have about approximately 4 years of work experience in KPMG in statutory audit, and I had done BCom in my bachelor's degree. And yes, that's a little bit about me. I can expand more as and when you like, or as we go through the rest of the video.
Sure. So you just mentioned you went through a preparation journey. So can you take us through your journey? Give us a gist of how it was.
So to be honest, I was initially preparing for GMAT, and I then switched to GRE. For GRE, I prepared. I took about, I would say, 2 to 3 months to prepare for it, and I'd appeared thrice for my GRE, and the first time I had scored a 317, and the second time my points dropped by 2 points actually in my score, and then I had given the third time, which is when I had scored a 322. So this is how my GRE journey has been like. I wanted to apply for ISB, so it was primarily because of meeting that round 2 deadline that I thought of giving one exam before round 2. Otherwise, I would have preferred to have just taken that second attempt later. But it's okay. I think it turned out fine.
Okay. So you mentioned you gave GMAT as well as GRE. So can you take us through a brief difference between those two, because most of people think they are same exam. So can you give the most few differences between them?
Yeah, sure. So I would say 70 to 80% concepts being tested are same in GMAT and GRE. So let's just take, for example, verbal section. So if you have done GMAT verbal section, which comprises of critical reasoning and reading comprehension, then you would also find the same section in GRE. Okay, but the rest of the paper in GRE is about sentence correction and text completion, which covers vocabulary. So, both of them are interlinked. There are overlapping topics for sure, but how they deep dive in it and what constitutes of, let's say, a GRE reading comprehension or a GMAT reading comprehension, just to give you an example, are completely different. Okay, so it's kind of like if you have an idea of GMAT, you'll be able to manage GRE and vis-a-vis. Yeah. So there are some differences in quants also, of course. So in GRE, the quants is a bit geometry heavy, and I found the question types are also different. However, the concepts will remain the same. So if you know GMAT concepts and quants, GRE concepts, you don't have to do any additional practice. Pretty much the same. But GRE is a bit geometry heavy, and the questions are not as what do I say, deeply involving as maybe they are in GMAT. So having said that, if you want to get a score of, let's say, 168 or 169 in GRE quant, you have to be as prepared as somebody who's scoring like a 99 or 98 percentile in GMAT. So that way it remains the same. But I think that GMAT the questions are a little bit the way they are framed is quite complex, whereas in GRE, I have found the questions to be a little more easier to understand frames. It's just been my personal experience, so I don't know how people would perceive it. So these are some differences that I have observed. Of course, the pattern is different. So GMAT is 2 hours 15 minutes, and GRE is 1 hour 58 minutes. So that differs. And something very important, which I've also spoken about in my my YouTube video, is how GMAT is question adaptive. So if you are someone who just wants to do a question and then forget about it, then GMAT makes sense for you. But if you are someone who likes to revisit the question, then GRE might make a little bit more sense to you, because you get enough time to move through questions during the section. And you have to, let's say, get 8 out of 10 right or 7 out of 10 right to get a harder set in the second section. So that is also very important difference to know.
So just to give a context to people who are giving CAT and if they want to go for GMAT or GRE, so GMAT is like your NMAT exam because GMAT also conduct NMAT, and your GRE would be like CAT. So in CAT you can switch sections, but in GMAT you have to go for question by question. So if someone wants to correlate, they can correlate from here. All right. So my
Yeah.
next question for you would be preparation is the key for CAT or ZAT or NMAT exams, right? Uh, but for GMAT, I haven't seen that much coaching that are giving their materials or mocks in India. So how did you prepare and how would you suggest कि कितना important है coaching and what are the impacts that they create?
I have very mixed views on coaching. मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि important है coaching. आपको थोड़ा सा like when I had just started GMAT, I felt the need of coaching because I had not given a competitive exam before. Okay. But I feel like, so GRE, just for a little context, GRE, I never did any coaching as such. Whatever materials were available, I just used that. And I ended up scoring better than I was doing in GMAT. So I think so I did use multiple coachings, multiple resources and materials, of which, if I have to tell you, Manhattan material is very good, especially for GMAT. For GRE, I did not find their critical reasoning, their sentence correction and text completion portions very similar to the official questions, but their critical reasoning, their reading comprehension questions are actually good, if I have to just talk about GRE. In GMAT also, of course, people say that after OG, Manhattan is like the second Bible, if you have to say, if you want to refer to something. It's got really good verbal resources. And for quants, I would say Indian coaching do a very good job in quant. I do like Manhattan questions also. They're pretty tough and things like that. But I don't know, there's something about Indians being intuitively a little bit better at math. So Indian coaching जैसे क्वेश्चन फॉर्म करते हैं, मेरे को लगता है वो अच्छा काफी अच्छे, मतलब कौन सा, आई थिंक एक्सपर्ट ग्लोबल, आई डोंट नो इफ इट्स एन इंडियन ब्रांड और नॉट, बट आई यूज एक्सपर्ट ग्लोबल आल्सो. So उसके marks I had used for GMAT specifically, so that was helpful. And of course, the official guides, be it GMAT or GRE, official guides are very important. You have to solve them. There is no other way out of it. The only test to rely on is the official mock. So please don't waste them. Especially the free ones, don't waste them. Use them very strategically. They are the actual indicator. So I had given, before my GRE exam, I had given the official mock and I had gotten a 320 on the official mock the day before my actual exam. The day of my exam, I got 322. So that's how, similar they are. So yes, official guides, prep material, very important. Coaching institutes, as I mentioned, Manhattan can be used. Magoosh can be used if you want to go through like the syllabus. If you want to go through, अगर syllabus go through करना है तो Magoosh का जो GMAT prep है वो काफी अच्छा है उसके लिए. And और कोई, I would just suggest don't go for like personal tutor, any kind of personal tutor. GMAT के जो personal tutors होते हैं बहुत, they will drill a hole in your pocket. So I would just suggest to stay away from that. कुछ definitely help करते हैं, मैंने ली थी. कुछ definitely help करते हैं, but again you have to gauge all of those things. So थोड़ा सा personal tutor से दूर रहें. बाकी आप ये materials यूज कर सकते हैं, as I mentioned, Manhattan, Official Guide and Expert Global के mock,
All right.
ये आप यूज कर सकते हैं.
Thanks. So, मतलब GMAT के और GRE के लिए you have to combine few resources to get the best out of it. मतलब एक
हाँ.
जगह ऐसा कोई प्लेस आपको
हाँ.
नहीं मिलेगी. All right.
हाँ, GRE के लिए सॉरी जस्ट स्पेशल मेंशन, GRECMAT करके एक वेबसाइट आती है GRE में. Okay, most of the people find it very helpful and काफी minimal, I think around $7, around 600 to 700 का सब्सक्रिप्शन होता है per month का. तो बहुत ही cost effective है और बहुत ही अच्छी है. तो अगर कोई GRE फोकस कर रहा है तो I think GRECMAT is a subscription you must consider taking. बाकी GMAT का तो मैंने आपको prep material बता दिया.
So, thank you for that. What do you feel would be the ideal work experience for someone who is preparing for GMAT or GRE? कि मतलब क्या वर्क एक्स लेके जाना चाहिए कि हाँ your profile gets shortlisted for it?
देखिए मतलब मुझे तो ऐसा लगता है कि 3 years to 4 years. So I would ideally say that if you are in that work experience range, then you're good, in a good position. If you're specifically looking for admissions in India, like the trends that I've been seeing at ISP also, they do prefer with people with over 3+ years of experience. And of course abroad, be it NCR or be it there's a college in France, I'm forgetting the name, there is HEC Paris, or be it NTU, SNU, all of these colleges, an average of their work experience, if you see, it would be ranging from 4 years to 6 years. That is their average. So of course you can go with minimum 2 years also, but then I think then you'll have to be exceptional for them to actually pick you. So if you're going for GMAT or GRE, 3 years of experience specifically for GMAT, because सिर्फ ND applicants के लिए है वो. अगर आप GRE कर रहे हैं और आपको मास्टर्स करना है अब्रॉड, then as such कोई आपका वर्क एक्सपीरियंस का उतना रिस्ट्रेन नहीं रहता है, because you're doing your masters, so that's not really that big of a problem there.
Right. So, why are you doing your MBA from India? GMAT GRE देने के बाद भी आपने सिर्फ इंडिया से ही क्यों करने का डिसीजन लिया? Why not go outside?
No, actually थोड़ा सा मुझे मार्केट अमेरिका का, यूके का ऑफ लग रहा था for me to go. If you, ऐसा मेरा पर्सनल मानना है. I know you can make a career anywhere if you're very good and hardworking enough, but I just feel that in India, an institution gets its name, its reputation from the amount of companies that it is able to get and make sure you're placed. That is their selling point to the aspirants. Whereas if you go to the US or the UK, वहाँ पे the system of MBA is very different. वहाँ पे job fairs लगते हैं, and you can go and sit for that job fairs in the companies. You can sit for multiple companies, okay? But उसमें क्या होता है कि then the companies will be like, okay, fine, you come meet us outside, and then whether you're actually offered or not is decided after you go to them. So that process doesn't happen at college, okay? Colleges of course will tell you कि इतना बच्चों का placement लगा, but it's not on them. तो मेरा ये था कि if I'm going abroad, then there should be some kind of job security. और मेरा उतना मन भी नहीं था, I have to be very honest, इंडिया छोड़ के जाने का. But I have the course, तो एक बेसिक अगर मेरी मास्टर्स डिग्री इंडिया से हो गई, so I can always use my GMAT and GRE course for the next coming 4-5 years, and I can do a double masters if I have to. But अभी तक तो मुझे ऐसा लगता, अगर आपको जाना है तो आप सिंगापुर जा सकते हो, मे बी SMU, NTU, NBS. मतलब सिंगापुर का मार्केट भी, आई एम नॉट सेइंग इट्स थ्राइविंग, but it's still, I would say, a little bit more stable than US and UK. We are seeing what is happening right now. So just I was a bit wary of that. That's why I didn't go.
So, a question, may say, let's say hypothetical question. So, would you prefer to be a topper in a tier 2 B school or the bottommost in a tier 1 B school?
Well, I would just want to be a topper in a tier two school because I don't know, it's just my personal opinion. I don't see, of course, everybody wants to make it to a tier one school, right? You want to have that thappa and you want to be like, yeah, I'm from this and I'm from that. But I think what matters is how hard you work on yourself and what you actually end up doing in your life and how you actually end up uh, making your life the way you want to see it. And if I get to, it's very controversial to say, but tier one or tier two में इतना बहुत difference भी नहीं रहता है. Okay, like if I have a 322, someone from ISP has a 325, 326, has more scores than me, smarter than me, but it's not that I'm completely stupid, right?
Right.
So you can always work towards that difference, but I would much rather be a, a topper than be the bottom
Bottoms.
person anywhere.
The last question from my side. Any tips you would like to give for people who are preparing for GMAT, GRE in upcoming days or years?
So first of all, I would say take a diagnostic test before you start. If your target is, let's say, ISP, please be aware that ISP takes both GMAT and GRE. Okay, so choose the exams that you are more comfortable with and will have a higher probability to like score better. Okay, and you will only know which exam you are finding better once you take a diagnostic test. So first take a diagnostic test, see which one you like more, and when you are preparing for GMAT, um, I would just say be careful of the material that you're using, especially in verbal, because for GRE and GMAT both it is I would say it's the same thing, because verbal, the way these institutes form a question, they pay question makers money for per question that they make. So that's very high quality question that they're giving you, right? No institute can invest that amount of money. So verbal is a bit tricky terrain, especially for Indians. GRE, GMAT, dono mein. So when you're doing verbal, always focus on official books. And for quants, I would say the quants mein to it's like the more you practice, the better. But of course, never forget practicing from official guides, because again, the way they're forming those questions is where the trick really lies. So practice, but come back to official questions once you feel like, अच्छा now मेरे को इस concept का काफी हद तक पता है. So come back and then do the official questions to know where you stand. Or I would say keep a timeline in mind, GRE or GMAT में, and be like इतने में अगर GMAT नहीं निकल रहा तो मैं GRE try करूँगा, इतने में अगर GRE नहीं निकल रहा तो मैं GMAT try करूँगा. Rest everything is up to you. But this is just from my personal experience. मेरे को ऐसा लगा कि you should move on. If after multiple attempts it's not working on, move on and try to see something else. Maybe it's a hit. So yeah.
All right. Thank you, Kopal. That's it from my side. Anything you would like to ask me?
Yeah, I was I was looking into LinkedIn profile. How come you circled in on Bitsom? What made you come to Bitsom? I mean, अच्छे खासे marks आए हुए हैं आपके.
So
What made you feel like come to Bitsom?
like yeah, तो अभी कल टेस्ट का रिजल्ट आया. So I'm shortlisted for MHA almost, like waitlist पे हूँ, close waitlist है.
अच्छा.
So it might get convert. So फिर भी सोच रहा हूँ मैं कि Bitsom लूँ कि टेस्ट लूँ उस टाइम पे. So that would be a choice for me. But Bitsom पे इसलिए क्योंकि other calls जो मेरे हैं वो baby AIMS हैं, and I feel Bitsom is doing much better than them. So that's why अभी तक मेरा Bitsom final था, but कल के बाद I think I might have to do some more research कि टेस्ट जाना चाहिए कि नहीं, क्योंकि वो उनका फ्लैगशिप प्रोग्राम नहीं है. बात ये है कि सिर्फ टैग के लिए जाना है तो बात अलग है, बट That's not their fraction program. So वो देखना.
Okay.
There's, I feel, bits of doing good apart from what you hear on Reddit and everything, but I feel it's very good.
No, I mean, if just for my viewers, like I don't want to name anybody because then people go and like spam their LinkedIn profile. But I think the one thing that really attracted me about Bitkom is that most of the heads that Bitkom has have immense experience in ISP, and those are folks who have come in from ISP. In fact, I have heard very positive reviews even from people who are in ISP. Okay, not just like the alums, but also people who run consultancy services. They themselves are ISP folks, and they're like, "Nay, Bitcoin is doing fairly well. It's a good institute." So that was something to consider.
Right.
I also got a little shocked reading that it comments, but then I'm like, no, it is not really a scam. So थोड़ा सा मेरे को भी धक्का लगा था, but I think it's fine.
Right. All right. So that's it for this video, guys. Your Kopal का आपको LinkedIn और YouTube आपको ऊपर दिख रहा होगा. You can always connect with her if you want. बाकी see you guys in the next video. Thank you, Kopal. Thank you for joining us.
And if you are someone who wants to join this podcast एक guest की तरह, तो मुझे Instagram पे message करो and we will take things forward. Peace.